Hey guys, Evans here. Super excited to share with you and have a little bit of conversation about restarting. And for a lot of people, restarting can be tough, because it reminds us that we fell off track at some point. But the reality is that we all do. No one is consistent all the time and never falls off. That's a myth, right? We all fall off. We all fall off for a lot of different reasons in here. So I have my special guests with me to help have this conversation. Uh, um, to talk about this whole restarting and falling off. So the first thing I want to talk about a little bit is there's a lot of reasons why we fall off. Um, the number one, like, regardless of what we think this reason is, the true reason is because at some point life happened and our habits weren't locked in well enough to support whatever happened in life. So maybe you guys, Katie, Alyssa, talk to me. Can you share some, things that might have happened, whether you fell off at some point in your journey, or someone else who fell off, and without saying their name, like, give me an example of something in life that could have happened that caused us to fall off.
Okay. You want me to start?
Sure.
So I'm getting an echo. Are you getting an echo?
No.
Okay, cool. I think a big one just happened with quarantine and everything. Outside of that, I think maybe life circumstances change. So maybe you have like a change in employment, or something happens in your family. Maybe you find yourself home more. You're in quarantine, and if you then you used to have this regular routine, and if you're not set with, like, okay, I get up at this time, I always work out in the morning, I have my meal set, now maybe there's changing your schedule and everything's thrown off. So I think that, I don't know, I'm struggling with like a personal example of something.
Oh, now you have to give us one, Katie. Like, we can't go through this idea that Katie's never fell off of anything.
Sports.
Yeah.
So like as a college athlete, it's you have the regular season, you go into the off season, and you're expected to do all of this training outside of practice, and you don't have like a practice to go to every day where you're showing up and someone's like running you through drills and making you do things. So incumbent upon you to establish these routines, like, I'm going to go to the gym and lift at this time, I'm going to conditioning at this time. And then a life circumstance is like, I don't know, I'm busy with finals, I have lots of tests, and that can apply to the real world with, like, work gets crazy stressful. So if I don't have those routines established already, like, regardless of what my day looks like, with what stresses come up, I need to go to the gym at this time to do my lift and go do my run at this time. If I have that routine, then no matter what happens in class that day or in the real world at work that day, I still have those routines established, so I don't fall off when things kind of hit the fan.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Alyssa, you could share, time or in a situation that you can think of when it comes to falling off.
Yeah, I can think of many situations where I've fallen off. Any, like, maybe during the holidays. So, like, that one day turns into a couple days, that one meal, the family meal, where you're like, oh, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to eat what I want. And then that day turns into cookies the next day and eating the leftovers the day after that. And before you know it, you're like, oh, rats, like, I'm totally off. Or even just recently, not necessarily when it comes to like nutrition, but just habits in general. I had gotten under this routine of getting up super early for me at 5 o'clock and doing this morning routine where I work out and plan my food for the day. And I sort of got off of it because I was just really tired, and I didn't feel like getting up in the morning. But then after about a week or so of inconsistency, I'm like, man, my energy is lower than it was when I was getting up. So even small things like I'm tired or I'm stressed out, it can really sort of have those sprinklings of like, it's okay, today I'm not gonna do it. It's not a big deal. And then that turns into tomorrow, like, a couple days off doesn't hurt anything. And then before you know it, it's a couple weeks down the road and you're like, yikes, what happened? So a lot of different things can throw you off.
Absolutely. And, specifically, I want to talk to people who, you've been on this journey when it comes to fitness multiple times, and, that's typically who we work with. We don't normally work with the individual that today's the first day I'm going to try to do something for my health. These are individuals like myself and other, clients who've tried multiple different things and failed at different things. And, when that you really want your goal, whether it's you're tired of being in quarantine and you're like, dude, I really need to lose this weight, or whatever series of circumstances, you're ready to play ball, restarting can be very, very challenging, and, so the hardest part, what do you guys think? Maybe we go one question for each person here, but, what's the hardest part of restarting? Alyssa, you talked about falling off, with different events. What's the hardest part in your mind when it comes to restarting?
That first day, I'd say the first day is the hardest. Like, you lay in bed and you're like, good night. I kind of don't want to do this. I've been off for so long. And sort of like your mental talk can get a little wonky and discourage you. Like, man, it's going to be so much harder. So I'd say the first day, because after the first day, if you follow that up with another day, it becomes a little bit easier. And you're like, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was actually better than I thought it was going to be. And I feel good because I made that first step. But I'd say the first thing is just thinking about doing it instead of just doing it is the hardest part of that getting restarted.
I would absolutely agree. I think, if we spend more times doing it and less times thinking about it, then, it's really, we can really get that momentum going the way we want to, and, I wasn't necessarily in my notes, but I probably should do a whole nother one to talk about developing a habit. But I would say that in the first little bit, one of the clients said they totally getting your head back into the game is totally what it is. But they're absolutely right. So if you know what's going to happen, it helps you, right? Like today, I didn't want to go live. Just be really transparent with everybody. But I made a commitment and I was like, you know what, on Tuesdays, we're going to go live publicly. And then on Thursdays, we have a special talk just for our metabolic coaching clients only that we go and really unpack some pieces of nutrition. And anything else is just bonus, but I'm committed to doing those two things, so it's that, oh, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Alyssa tried to give me an out. Oh, you don't want to do it. Don't do it. But, I made the commitment, so it's, I got to do what I don't want to do. But once you get started, you feel better. So when you're starting a new habit, if you plan out your first 30 days in this mindset, it'll kind of help you. So days 1 through 10, you go through like it's unbearable. So if you think about it that way, days 1 through 10 is unbearable. I get up, I was like, oh, I gotta go train. Oh my God, it's 5 o'clock. Or, man, I got to go to the gym. I'm not really in the mood for it. That's days 1 through 10. Days 11, regardless if you have some swings of momentum in there or not, and you average it out, it sucks, and days like 11 through 20, it becomes bearable. Like, because day 3, like your legs hurt from day 1, you're like, what did I do? Did I make the wrong decision? And, so you're still going through that. But days 11 through 20, that's when it becomes bearable. You're like, I can do this, it still sucks, but I can do it. And then after the 3-week mark, you got some momentum kicking. And that's when you go into what we call the winner zone, when you're really pushing hard at it and you can really make some serious gains, So one thing I've noticed, though, is as people restart, they look in the wrong direction. So what does that mean to you, Katie? Because you do a lot of the coaching on the nutrition side of things and everything else. So when we talk about coaching, what do you see people do when it comes to like looking in the wrong direction?
People tend to compare themselves to like some point in time in the past when they were like at their best, that time that I ran a marathon, or, when I was getting married at age 22 and was so thin, or, whatever it is. They use this point in time that really is irrelevant to now because it's not where you're at. I use sports as an example. If I tried to go out now and run a mile at the same pace I used to run a mile, I would fall over and die about 4 steps into it. So that's an irrelevant thing for me to use as a reference point because it's just a different point in my life. So people tend to look backwards and compare themselves to the point that they were at, but it's not where they are now. So they need to be looking at where they are at now.
Absolutely. That's so powerful. She said, I'll fall over and die. I don't know if she will, but you definitely feel like it. But yeah, absolutely. And this can create this high level of defeat because it's like, I'm always going after something that doesn't exist. It's something that's not even going to exist because it's who I am today is a sum total of all my life experiences. That past win actually is made me who I am today. And typically something's happened between this high peak moment and now that has brought me to this point. So I have to appreciate that. Yes, I did. If I look back, I can't look back and, this time I was so great, but I could look back and say, you know what? I have the ability to develop the discipline and the habits it takes to meet my goals because that's where I was before. And that kind of helps because it can be very discouraging to be like, man, I remember, like for me, I competed, right? Oh man, I remember 2015 when I did my show, my abs were like ripped out. Well, it's not 2015 anymore. It's 2020. Lynn says she can totally relate to this of looking back. But, there's a reason why our eyes are on the front of our head and on the back of our head. There's a reason why our windshield is bigger than our rearview mirror. So we can reference those points to see like, hey, this is some opportunities that I've proven to myself that I can go after it, but that's not who I am right now. And if we don't address who I am right now, and we're constantly looking at the person who we used to be, then we'll never become the person that we can be. And the person you can be is a person who used to be this, who's overcoming who you are now to get to where you want to be. So it's powerful. So, one thing I've been really appreciating hearing and having conversations with you, Katie, about this idea of mental contrasting, and you've been using it with coaching clients and everything else over this last little bit. And we've seen confidence increase and people are getting better results. And it's not that the programming changed at all, really, but it's just this coaching technique that you've been using has really helped people start assessing what it is. So maybe if you could explain what it is a little bit, Alyssa, you can jump in anywhere you want to with that, but talk about like, what is it? And then let's talk about how we can apply it to really go towards our goal.
Sure. So this idea of mental contrasting is looking at where you are now, looking at where you want to be. So for example, maybe right now you're 40 pounds overweight, where you want to be is 40 pounds lighter. And instead of focusing just on that point in the future where you want to be, focusing on that gap between where you are now and where you want to be, and the challenging steps that it takes to get there. I think with this mental contrasting, when we focus only on where we want to be, we forget about that big in-between point. And it's a big uncomfortable in-between point. So it's acknowledging that there are going to be challenging steps as opposed to just like throwing it on your vision board and like wishing and hoping for it. It's looking at the steps, acknowledging that there's going to be challenges between point A and point B, and then focusing on that first step and taking it step by step.
And just to sort of, bounce off of that a little bit, she mentioned that the feeling of the gap is uncomfortable. And it is, it's, like, man, at some points throughout, your journey, you may feel like you're failing or or maybe that you're never going to be able to reach that because the gap is too big. But one thing that you can focus on is what skills do I need to fill that gap? Like what skills do the person that I'm trying to become already has that I need to get in order to reach to that place. And during that time, you may feel frustrated. You may feel, maybe a little bit even discouraged at times. You're like, man, this is where I'm at right now. And it may be that like moment where it's just like the light bulb goes off, where you may have been expecting like, okay, this isn't going to be as hard, as everyone says it is. Like, I can lose this weight and it's going to be great. But the reality is that it is going to be challenging. But the good news about challenges is that we can overcome them. So it's just keeping that mindset.
Absolutely. And if I was to just add something onto that is you got to feel that pain. I say it all the time. I didn't come up with it. It's in almost a ton of different books, but change only happens when the pain of staying the same exceeds the pain of change. Everybody I've ever brought on staff, I told a story about the dog in the bar, it's barking, right? And this guy's walking down the street, everything's open back up post-COVID. God bless you. That's allergies, just for those who are concerned. Somebody's walking by a bar after COVID and they're hearing this howling sound, or walking down the street hearing this howling sound, and they realize it's coming out of the bar. So they walk inside of the bar, and the howling dog sound is just louder and louder. The bartender is just there cleaning the glass like in every good movie. And then as he goes further and further to the back, the sound gets louder and louder. Finally, he sees this dog sitting there just howling at the top of his lungs. He says to the bartender, he goes, whose dog is this? He goes, oh, it's my dog. He goes, why is he howling? He goes, because he's sitting on a nail. Why doesn't he just get up? I guess it doesn't hurt bad enough. And many times it's if our situation doesn't hurt bad enough, we don't do what we need to do to change that situation. And what this mental contrasting does, it allows us to feel the pain so we can make the change. That'd be like a good thing. Feel the pain, make the change. Anywho, so Katie, talk to us about like, okay, we want to make this change, and I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm gonna go after it 5 days a week. I'm only eating boiled chicken. I saw something that they said that all these things are bad, so I'm only eating the good things. I'm doing organic, whole foods. What was that other thing that was really popular a while back? I'm doing gluten-free, vegetarian, paleo.
Yeah.
Keto. I'm gonna do all of them, and then I'm gonna do and everything I eat is gonna be they say almonds are, I forgot the name of it. It was just like fad for 5 years. It was like all these only power foods. That's what I'm gonna eat. Superfoods. I'm eating superfoods. I saw. So I'll be living on water for I'm going on a 50-day fast. I'm losing this weight, So talk to me, and I know I'm being very facetious here and teasing out a lot of other things. I'm just doing bouillon soup, bone broth soup. So I'm going to get my protein in, you know what I mean? That's all I'm going to do. Talk to us about a better technique when it comes to hitting our goals. Especially when you see this gap. I'm sorry, I'm excited. Especially when you see that gap.
That's a lot of things. So I mentioned like starting with that first step. I would recommend starting with one thing, one change. I think you can build a lot of self-efficacy when you build that foundation with starting with one thing, and then you can layer it on. And so maybe, I don't remember all the things you said. Maybe you pick the one thing you want to start with, superfoods or whatever. And now from there, once you get consistent with that one thing, we can start taking that next step and layering a little bit more on. I think when you try to overhaul everything at once, one is super overwhelming. And you can't maintain all of that, and then you kind of just give everything up again. It's way more maintainable to start with something that you can build momentum with, where we add more.
Nice.
Absolutely. And starting small is really important, but then, you can start small and still fall off. And the reason why is because, if you don't have a support system or a support group or someone to hold you accountable, then it's really, really easy to just be like, not today, or this doesn't count. If you have I don't know how many times that I've done that where it's like, this doesn't count, right? No, I didn't log it, so it doesn't count. But if you have someone to support you and be there for you and to help guide you and hold you accountable, then there's a little bit more skin in the game. Because at least in my experience, when you have to show up for someone else, a lot of the times I'm more willing to do that than to show up for myself every day. So, while that's definitely something that probably should get better, showing up for yourself, having that someone to be there to support you because it's going to be challenging is like the number one way people succeed. Without a support group, really challenging.
Yeah, and they have to be qualified to support you. I think what sometimes people do wrong is, like, for me, it's, you can use your spouse, but sometimes because of the intimacy of that relationship, conflict can happen in their attempt to support you to do something that you said you really wanted to do, but now it's like, leave me alone. You know what I mean? So so we all laugh because we're all experiencing a measure of that at some degree, but so maybe not your spouse, maybe not someone who's struggling at the same level that you're struggling. It's kind of like me saying I'm recovering from alcohol and I'm going to have my friend that I used to drink with hold me accountable. Maybe not the best accountability partner, So I want to choose someone who has the knowledge and the disciplines put in place. So, A, I can feel obligated to follow them, but two, that they will check me. Now, it's important that when you establish this accountability partner, you're honest with them. A lot of times people don't have accountability partners because they're concerned with what the other person's going to say, or I don't want to bother anybody and things like that. But the real crux of it is you should share your goal. So it'd go like this. Hey, Katie, my goal is to be really consistent meal prepping and planning my meals over the next, several months. Can you, reach out to me maybe once a week and hold me accountable? Easy way to do it. Most people are going to say, yep, I can do that, or another thing. And for some people that are not positively motivated, because all of us are not, some of us are negatively motivated. Some of us only wear a seatbelt so we don't go through the windshield or so we don't get a ticket. And other of us wear seatbelts because it's safety. So you have to figure out, like, were you the child that, you did it because you knew you got a beating if you didn't do it, or you did it because you wanted to please mom? I think I did it sometimes. Sometimes I just didn't do it anyway. I was like, just beat me. I'm going to do what I want to do. But for the most part, for us normal people, we're typically motivated by not. So I heard this success story recently where what this person did was they wrote a check and they gave it to someone else, and they wrote a check out to a company that they despised. So they found a company that it was like, oh, I despise this company. And they wrote a check that they would hate to ever give that company. And then they set their goal. And they said, if I don't hit this goal by this date, mail the check in. Regardless of what I say, mail the check in.
Wow.
Yeah, they hit their goal.
I bet.
When they were interviewed and they were asked, how were you able to hit your goal? They said, every day that I wanted to not do the process and follow the plan on how to hit my goal, I thought about that check being mailed. So there's a lot of little things you can do to kind of play with yourself to get there. You can gamify your success and be like, man, I don't feel like doing this. Yeah, but if I don't do it today, that check's going to go out. And I thought, wow. So think about maybe a penalty system or a reward system that can help you along the way. But to kind of, wrap it up here, the big pieces are understand, give yourself grace. We all fall off track. 2, don't compare yourself to who you used to be. Deal with who you are today. 3, think about the gap that Katie talked about. What are my goals over this period of time? and where am I now, and what's the effort is going to take to get there, is going to be honest with yourself. Know it's going to, it's kind of like if you know it's going to be foggy and you can't drive as fast, you accept that I can't get there at the same time. So be honest with yourself and realize, who do I need to become to accomplish that goal? Because for me to be the person I desire to be, that means I change. So who do I need to become to be there? Embrace the unbearable, the bearable, so you can get into the winner zone, and then get someone to hold you accountable and figure out what system truly motivates you. And I think if you apply some of those simple tips, restarting. Oh, and I forgot one big thing Katie and Alyssa said earlier, is to start small. There's even a goal setting technique where they tell a lot of people to set a goal below what they think they're capable of doing. And especially as we go back, a lot of times we're comparing, oh, no, I remember I used to be able to run a mile in five minutes or something like that. Then you get out there and it's like, man, it's 13 minutes. When's this mile going to come? You know what I mean? So set goals below what you think you're able, whatever you think you do, split it in half and set that as your goal. Build that self-efficacy that Katie talks about. Therefore, you can go and crush it going out of here. Everybody can hit their goals going into the summer. Everybody can, can really see some positive change, but it's all about layering this data that we're putting out on top of each other to really get momentum in your life. So any final thoughts, Katie, Alyssa?
No, I think that sums it up.
All right, Katie. I don't have an accountability partner is the last question. What should I do?
Call us. I'll be your accountability partner.
Nice. You get Katie to be your accountability partner. She'll be like the reward. I'll be the penalty. Yeah. So you have a support system in place. So we love you guys. Have a phenomenal day. We'll talk to you guys in a bit. Evans here.
Kate. Hi.
You fit. Talk to you guys in a bit.